Hey y'all, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Linda, and thank you guys so much for being here. So a lot has happened since my last video, and I think I put a couple of community posts up, or maybe one, I don't remember. Just kind of explaining that we had moved, and it was pretty unexpected. But it has been such a huge blessing. Sometimes when you're actually in the middle of something, it's really hard to kind of see what positive thing can happen or come about because of it, because you're stuck in that moment. And yeah, so the end of August, a bunch of stuff had happened with our landlord, and she decided she was not going to continue renting to us, so she gave us 30 days to be out. So I was like, okay, because she was going to renew our lease, and I was rolling up on my 5-year anniversary of being in that other house. So that was pretty surprising. Now, we had talked about moving, and it was something that I definitely wanted to get done, but big ol' but we were looking at like probably this coming summer. So we were thinking summer of 2024 would be a good time maybe. I had wanted to be out by the end of the year. I mean, that was kind of like my own personal goal, but like I think I've mentioned before, my husband's like I'm kind of always been more of a gypsy. My roots have never been really bound to anything. And a lot of that is because I grew up between California and upstate New York. So I was kind of used to the whole moving thing. Plus I had moved a lot with my previous marriage. So I've always been kind of more of a gypsy. So if it's not working out here, we just pick up and move someplace else. It's fine. But my husband is like an oak tree. His roots go deep, and he does not like to move at all. Like, he does not like to move. And so we had gotten kind of comfy, I guess, in the other house. Not so much comfortable as it was just familiar. And because he doesn't like change, that kind of put a damper on that whole, like, my idea of let's just move. Anyhow, so when she gave us the notification that we had 30 days to be out, it kind of worked out in a way because Roger had already started talking to a realtor. And of course, he was thinking we'd be moving later, you know, mid 2024. And she definitely sped things up for us. So all that being said, luckily, because he had been talking to, let's scoot back a little bit. Luckily, because he had been talking to the realtor that we went through actually kind of, you know, understood our situation and was willing to work with us. Anyway, so he sent us off to look at a few different properties, and they were horrendous. Now, because we were thinking we'd be moving later, we didn't have as much in savings as I would have liked before moving. I mean, that's just the reality of it. And in this economy right now, it's super hard to buy a house. But we were working with a realtor. He understood our needs. And so we went and looked at a couple of different houses that he sent us, and they were abysmal. Like, one of them wasn't even livable. Like, you couldn't even have lived on the property and fixed it up. There was just nothing that could be, it needed to be torn down. It was awful. The other one was like the size of a matchbox. And if y'all know, I have a lot of milk glass. 25 boxes to be exact after we got everything packed. But anyway, so yeah, so that just wasn't gonna work. And I wanted to be closer to Roger's work, but I still wanted to be out in the country. I mean, we had things that we wanted ideally, but of course, it came down to one of those beggars can't be choosers kind of things because we had so little time. The other problem is that we have 6 animals. We've got the 4 cats and we've got the 2 dogs. So trying to find another rental that would accommodate our large fur baby situation was not easy either, and stupid expensive. So anyway, we moved. He did find us a house, and as it turns out, he actually owned the house or was in the process of buying the house himself. So we didn't know that at the time, but he sent us pictures, and the picture that he sent us was this gorgeous pond. And I thought, how much does he want? And so my husband asked him, and he gave us like this number. And so he said, but the problem was, and that we didn't realize at the time, is that we were buying a house before he had fully closed on the house. Didn't know that. So, but I knew we were running out of time. So I basically told Roger, I said, ask him how much he'll take for the house if we do the clean out and we fix it up ourselves, and we don't, you know, wait for him to get it fixed up for us to move in, because it needed flooring and wallpaper, or the walls painted and all, you know, there was just things like cosmetic things. And I thought, it's not a big deal. It's cosmetic stuff. We can deal with that. So we came out, we looked at it, and oh, I was getting to the price. So he gave us a price, and basically buying the house in the condition that we took it in, we saved about $40,000, which was totally worth it to me. But so we come out to see the house. Now, mind you, the time's going by quickly, and I'm kind of starting to flip out a little bit, because I'm not flip out, I guess, more like freak out, because I'm getting nervous because, you know, we've only got that amount of time. So anyway, came out, saw the house, saw a few of the cosmetic things, because it was still kind of full. Like, the people that had been here before had like left a bunch of stuff. Well, we didn't realize, and I think we should have, but I think part of our not knowing was a matter of maybe not wanting to know all the details, but also because we had so little time that it was just more or less, let's just kind of go whatever. So long story short, we bought the house. We took it as is. So we inherited a full back bedroom, an almost full middle bedroom, and a bunch of stuff in the master bedroom. There is no flooring in the house, minus the kitchen has some tile work. There's some tiles in the bathroom, in the master bathroom, and like at the entryway. Otherwise, there's no, like, there is just the plywood floors or whatever they use. It is a manufactured home, which doesn't bother me at all. And we've discovered, since we bought the house, we've discovered that it was a foreclosure, and that's why we inherited all the stuff. Oh, we also inherited a really old Chevy van that was kind of creepy beside the kind of garage thing that we have. And several piles of just trash in the backyard. I'm going to show you guys a video of what it looked like, sort of. There were a couple of piles that were removed because the gentleman that brought my stove over, because when we first moved in, I thought I could just use the stove and the sink, you know, whatever. I would just make do until we had saved up again and just started doing the kitchen that I wanted to the way I wanted to anyway. So we had to buy a new stove, because when I opened the oven and I was working on cleaning the stove, I opened the oven and the coil was actually broken to the heating element in the oven. And I do a lot of cooking, I do a lot of baking. That was really kind of a problem. So that same day that we were moving in, Roger bought, only new to me, stove. It was a used stove. And the gentleman that brought it out, he was going to take our old stove with him. And then Roger and him started talking, and before you know it, he had said that he'd come and help with clearing out all of the, I keep pointing this way like you guys can see. As you can see, we still have boxes everywhere, and I'll explain that in a second. But he said that he'd come out and help remove all this stuff. So I was pretty excited about that, because I didn't know what we were going to do, because he'd have to rent a dumpster, which would be fine, except here where we are, I don't know if it's like this everywhere, but here in the county that we're in, the town that we're in Oklahoma, there's like these really strict guidelines for what you can put into a dumpster. Now, I knew you couldn't do things like console TVs, you know, the old box TVs. So there were certain things I knew you couldn't do, but then there was like a lot of weird things, like just trash-wise, that I thought was kind of odd. So anyway, so it wasn't really feasible for us to just go and rent a dumpster yet, because we were still trying to figure out, you know, what all was what. We have since discovered, oh, anyway, sorry, go back. So anyway, so he has already come out and he's taken a few loads. By the time you see the video footage, he's already taken a couple of loads. And then I will post a couple of videos at the end of the clean out that we had done. It's not totally done in the garage yet, but it's mostly done. And that's because the same day that I had done the video and the walk around of the outside of the property, he came that evening and he took a bunch of stuff. And so it actually helped. You'll see the garage. It's scary. But imagine that like in piles around the yard and also inside the house. So long story short, we found out the house was a foreclosure. The gentleman that had originally owned the house, he had passed away, and his son was squatting in the house, but not actually in the house. He was squatting in the van that was left behind. So it was this whole thing. And anyway, so it was interesting. And it's been kind of interesting, but the main takeaway is that, and I'll have to post another walk around video. It's raining today, and it's supposed to rain, and it rained yesterday, so I haven't had a chance to walk around again, and I'll have to show you better views of kind of how things have changed outside for us and how it's really given me a lot of hope. But when we first moved in, the first thing Roger had to do before we could even move in our belongings was he had to rebuild the front porch because the steps were so cattywampus that we couldn't have loaded our furniture in safely. Like, someone would have fallen through the deck. So he had to redo that. He's since had to replace the plumbing under the kitchen sink, the plumbing in the back of the shower. We had to replace the front door because, like I said, it was a foreclosure and someone had been like squatting, and so they had kicked in the door. So we had to replace all of that, which is fine because we put like a regular standard house door. And for anyone who's never lived in a mobile home before, the doors are not like your normal house size doors, so we had to change that. Roger had to insulate and redo the wall in our closet for the water heater, and then we insulated the water heater. So what we found out happened is that apparently the people that lived here before thought they were plumbers and thought they were electricians. They were neither. One of the first things that had to be done is they had to fix the furnace because that had been jerry-rigged in some kind of crazy way. We don't know exactly what they were doing in the house, but there was a hasp on the middle room door that kind of freaked out Jai. And there was a strange wiring all over the house, like they'd had some kind of odd security system, which was weird. And they had tied it all in at where the furnace is. And so we had like this weird box and stuff, and it was just kind of weird. But getting back to the plumbing situation. So with the plumbing, apparently when we had that deep freeze a couple years ago, they hadn't insulated the pipes properly or something had happened, and so the pipes froze, and so they capped off water at different spots of the house. So there's no hot water to the washing machine. Roger's going to fix that. There's no water to Jai's bathroom, to the sink or the tub, I think it is. But there is, the toilet still works. So, but we did replace the toilet. In our bathroom, the hot and colds are all swapped. So you have to be mindful of that. We do have a dishwasher. I do not use it because they installed the dishwasher, and just thinking along the same pattern of everything else that we've seen, it's not going to be safe to use a dishwasher anyway. Because the reason why Roger had to replace the plumbing to the shower in our bathroom is because Jai and I both showered, and as I was getting dressed for work, I heard this whooshing sound, and it honestly sounded like somebody was pressure washing the outside of the house. Well, it burst through the pipe and it began to flood our bedroom. So, and I was like, and my desk currently for work is in our bedroom. And I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I was freaking out because I've got water and I've got my box to my laptop, like right there, like the power cord box, the power brick. And I was like freaking out. So I've got that precariously like held up, and anyway, we've got towels out. I had to run outside to the well house, shut the water off, which shuts water off to the entire house. And it was just kind of like one of those days. But anyway, so Roger had to fix all of that. Turns out, had they spent the extra 70 cents, it never would have been a problem. But instead, they took like 3 different sizes of pipe and like glued them together, and then just that was their fix for that moment. So he's going to go under the house and insulate all the pipes and check all the pipes. He's got to, like I said, he has to replace the water, the hot water the hot water pipe to the washing machine, because I need to wash laundry this winter, obviously. And there's no hot water currently. So anyway, it's just been weird things like that we've discovered since we moved in. There were doors that were on the wall in our bedroom that looked like they'd been used as a headboard. No, it was to cover this giant hole. Because apparently they'd had a problem with the washer, which is why there's no hot water to the washer, it had leaked through that wall. Anyway, so it's just like little weird quirky things that we found since we moved in. The upside is that it's ours. We're on 1.5 acres. We have this giant pond that's apparently stocked with fish. Originally we were told that it's a shared pond, that's a community pond. I actually called the people that developed this property and sold it originally, and they said no such thing. It's our pond. So that's cool. You'll see in the video, and I'll kind of talk about it as I'm showing you the video. There's plenty of property, even though it's only 1.5 acres, the way it kind of is, it's kind of a funky pie shape, I guess, ish. But there's still a lot of space there. I can put fruit trees. Now, we're not talking 20-foot tall fruit trees. We're talking miniature fruit trees. But I can put like a mini orchard out there. There's plenty of space for a garden. And so I'll take you on a tour here in just a second. But anyway, just to kind of give you a quick update on what's kind of happened. So it's been a huge blessing because now we're homeowners, we have property. And so you're going to see a lot of the videos on my channel are going to be more about homesteading, because it's what I've always wanted to do, and getting that all started. I've been collecting seed catalogs and getting all that together because I do want to have a huge garden. I'm planning on a lot of different vegetables, a lot of different medicinal herbs, just a whole spectrum of things. I will continue my vintage videos as well, but they're going to be a little different because we're going to be making some changes as far as like how they're set up and everything. So yeah, so it's just been kind of a lot of different things. But like I said, we will continue with the different collections and the milk glass and the antiquing and that sort of thing. But right now my focus is going to be on getting the house together, which is why my house is still in boxes, because I do need to paint the walls. We need to replace the flooring, and I'm trying to like figure out how to get it all done. Everything of course costs money. If the cost of everything has gone up, unless you live in a vacuum, you must have noticed. And so we're just kind of doing it little by little. Patience is not one of my virtues, not gonna lie, but I'm learning that we have to be patient. So my channel is probably gonna become a lot more about getting the house fixed up and decorating the house the way I want to. I've already got, you know, my themes, I guess, of how I want things to look, and how I kind of want things to go. So that's pretty much what you're going to be seeing in my videos here on out. It's going to be a lot of the inside the house, fixing it up stuff, and getting it livable. I mean, it's livable, but it's not livable. You know what I mean? There's a difference. So we are currently existing in the house. I love the house, as wonky as it is, and I'm so excited to have the house because it's ours, and we can paint it and we can do whatever we want to with it. And so I'm loving that. We get to have all of our fur babies and nobody complains. They're loving it. The cats and the dogs are all loving it. And I think it's been a really good change for us. The other change that's happened recently is my youngest just moved back to Illinois. So we are now empty nesters. So that's the other thing. So no more kids at home. So that's been kind of a different thing. And it's only been a week and a day since we've been empty nesters. But it's pretty cool. We're rolling up on our first Thanksgiving together as a married couple with no kids. So that'll be exciting. But I still have to work Thanksgiving Day. So the other exciting change has been that I will be starting with a new company in December. So I'm starting a new job in 2 weeks, a little over 2 weeks. And I'm pretty excited about that. It's a much better company. It's fully remote still, unlike my current company, which keeps telling me that they want me to come in to work in the building, and I keep telling them no. So it comes with a pay raise, better benefits, holidays off, all the good things that are important, and I still get to work from home, which is the biggest thing for me. Roger is still working where he has been, so unfortunately he's having to commute. And so now we're about an hour from his work, which really kind of sucks because I hate that for him. I hate that he has to travel for his job, but there's that. So I hope you guys stick around. I hope you guys are as excited as we are to see what all the things that are happening and all the changes that are going to be going on. I can't wait to share more of our adventures with you and more of our life with you. And I'm hoping that now that we're getting more and more settled in and things are kind of progressing the way that they are, that you're going to see a lot more regular content. And anyway, before I continue to babble, I'm going to get off here because you know I like to talk. So thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. And as always, remember to collect what you love what you collect, and yeah, thank you guys so much for being here. I'll talk to you soon. Okay, so this is kind of how the garage looked. We had already started to clean up a little bit of this stuff, but then I was like, oh my god, I need to make a video. So I started recording it, and this is basically what the entire garage looked like, and it's all kind of on one side right now, but this was all over the whole thing, and we'd already gotten rid of a bunch of stuff at this point. So you can kind of see where we've cleared out some of the stuff, and yeah, you can see the floor is the dirt floor, which is like super depressing actually, and you can see just how much just stuff there was. I'm sorry if it seems a little speedy. I didn't want to, like, I'm not trying to make anybody sick or anything like that, but I'm trying to give you the full scope of everything. When you first walk in, it's kind of like, oh my goodness. The garage door, so you can tell that this is like a homemade situation. Like I said, they thought they were electricians, they thought they were plumbers, they apparently also thought they were builders. So it is made with like the metal roofing stuff that you would use. But as you can see, these beams, a lot of the beams are cracked and rotting. Initially, we're going to try to fix up the garage. We're just going to get rid of it completely and bring in an actual nice building for Roger, because he does so much woodwork and so much everything else. We actually need a proper garage. This is us I'm going to show you walking around, and we inherited several broken wheelbarrows. That big rock apparently has some kind of sentimental value attached to it. I don't understand, but whatever. To the guy that was squatting here before. This is part of the fence, shockingly. Just the amount of like random stuff that was left here. It was trashed. You could tell this was kind of the party house. In the garage, the part that we'd cleaned out already, there was a ton of old, like, weed eaters. There's probably like 30 of them at one point. Lots of barrels of whatever. And you can see that he'd kind of insulated the van there. I'm trying to like watch my step because there's so much stuff out here. But yeah, so that's the van that we inherited that has caused quite a bit of drama. Yeah, just a lot of stuff. An old generator or something. Several barbecues. The wood that you see there and the other piece right there, we actually used to put down as flooring so Roger could set up some of his tool stuff that had been in the house, because I was getting tired of walking around saws and stuff in the house. But yeah, kind of interesting. There's one barbecue. You might still see some cow skulls, which had to go because I was grossed out by those. I'm not really into dead things. Just strange things. It was strange. Initially, we couldn't get into the van, and then we realized the driver's side door was open or unlocked. But yeah, just kind of, you can see how tall the grass is back there. They had made kind of a deck thing. There's the skulls. But you can kind of see my pond. Isn't it pretty? So if you look in this section here, I don't know what I'm staring at there. But just looking at the piles of just stuff. And if you notice, the garage is kind of like the Italian flag or something. We don't know what it was. But yeah, so buckets everywhere, stuff everywhere. A slipper, that's always helpful. There are some cool plants back here though, and we've actually discovered there's actually quite a bit of medicinal herbs and plants that are kind of growing naturally. This chain link fence here, Roger's going to take down and put that around my garden. And then once around the garden, it'll help to keep, you know, any creatures, big or small, hopefully out of the garden. I don't know if it'll be enough for the size of the garden that I'm planning in my head, but we will see. But yeah, so I mean, you can see to the edge of the fence there, and then all the way around our pond. I am loving the size of our pond, and like I said, it's supposedly stocked and has catfish and some other fish. I'm not much of a fish eater, so I didn't really pay a whole lot of attention, but I know for sure catfish was one of them. And then, let's see. You can see where like some fence had fallen down. I think that's the piece that they used that straight panel of wood for. I don't know. There's just so many piles of just like random stuff. And it was initially a lot worse when we first moved in, but it has gotten better. So here's another little clip of the pond. You can see the pond is actually quite large, and it does take up a good chunk of our yard, but I don't mind. I'm not angry about it. I love it. Roger has, since this footage here was taken, has actually begun burning a lot of the just miscellaneous stuff that we can't have. And then these piles here are so much smaller now because Roger kept the chain link fencing hardware that we could use. He kept that in the garage, and then like that paddle boat looking thing, and just a lot of this stuff that was back here is actually now gone, which is amazing. But you can see what we're, oh, there's that red couch I was telling that I had mentioned earlier. My best friend and her husband were actually the only ones that came out to help us move. And so my best friend's husband and my husband used a Sawzall or whatever and cut that couch apart because we couldn't get it out the doors. I don't even know how they got it into the house, but we couldn't get it out. And it was so heavy. It was actually like recliners, like a recliner sofa, whatever. So heavy as sin, couldn't get it out the door. So they just cut it up into the 3 sections, and then we just kind of hauled that out. That is Japanese Meadow Sweet, and that one is, I can't remember what the other one is right now off the top of my head, but those are actually medicinal, which is pretty cool. And I think this is used to be like the old dock or whatever for probably for fishing, so I'd like to rebuild that. Obviously not using that same wood, but actually build one out. Whenever it rains, the water level in the pond goes up quite a bit, and that's because all of the drainage runs into our ponds. But yeah, we actually do have a lot of things that live out here. We have rabbits, we have snakes, which we know we have snakes because we found a 3-foot long snake shed in the garage, and Jai found one out there by that. I don't know if you can see it, I spun around a little quickly. The outside little garden shed area right there. There's another one out there. We actually have quite a few trees, which is pretty awesome because a lot of the properties that we had looked at did not have as many trees. Oklahoma is one of those places where they kind of plowed through things, and it is, and you know, and I am so sorry if you hear the dogs walking around. For whatever reason, they haven't settled. But anyhow, but you can see just as I walk along here, you can see, and I'll turn here in a second, but I just want you to see how large the pond is. We do have some like clams that are out there as well, some big old huge clams. There's frogs. I don't know if we have any turtles though. There's some different kinds of lizards and newts and that sort of thing out there too. Now you can see this collection right here of lawnmowers that we inherited, plus all the riding lawnmowers that you kind of saw like an overview of. A lot of those are now gone. In fact, I think all the lawnmowers are gone, which is amazing. Some more of our trees. Right here in this area, I'm hoping I get a better view here in a second. There actually is a large area by the pond, so in front of those trees there, where it'd be perfect for some more fruit trees or some nut trees. And that's actually like a piece of granite right there that I want to keep. But that shed is now empty because James and his family came out and they took a bunch of this stuff, or they took all of it actually. And they are reselling a lot of this stuff. I was like, we're just giving it to them and they can do whatever. Jai kept that space painting, but everything else in that shed thing is now gone. I think Roger's going to use some of that metal there to replace the skirting along the mobile home that has been removed or whatever from when they were probably crawling around trying to fix or not fix the water pipes that had frozen. But this is actually an already laid out garden footprint. We're going to be changing this out. We're making it wider. And along this side here, I do want to plant some more like fruit trees. All these bushes I'm going to take out. We're going to be putting in like edible things, so like raspberries, blueberries, blackberries, just anything that I can get that I can grow that will produce food we're going to put out here. And so I'm pretty excited about that. But yeah, so we're gonna pull all this out. Roger's gonna bring in some soil. We're gonna fix it all up.
It'll work in about 6 months.
It worked just fine for Roger when he tried the other day.
Yeah, it takes so long to fucking pump.
Okay, what about when you turn the little spady thing?
I can't.
Oh.
It's like cement in the place of fucking
Ew.
Yeah.
The other day it came out, it was clear.
There we go.
That's so cool though. Okay, you can start now. Thank you. You're just playing in it.
A little bit.
But yeah, for only being an acre and a half, it is quite spacious, and there is quite a bit of different places where we can plant things to grow things. What'd they do to it?
We're going to use it as a sanding thing. Never mind what that screw is going to do to what you're trying to sand. Another sprinkler.
Oh.